Getting a little wider.
There he goes.
Junior.
Down.
Oh, no! There's
the 48 and takes out Earnhardt and Jimmy Johnson.
Caution is out.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben Schneider. And recently on this channel, I talked about the first NASCAR truck race I ever watched, which took place in the fall of 2006 at Talladega. So it may be logical to assume that the first Cup race I ever watched was also in the fall of 2006 at Talladega. And you'd be correct. There was NASCAR racing on the very next day at the very same track, and I made sure I found a way to watch. So today, join me for a look back at the 2006 UAW-Ford 500. NBC's broadcast opens with a summary of the opening rounds of the chase, and it highlights just how important it is to avoid a bad result. Once you've had one, you really can't afford another if you want a shot at the title. And a lot of drivers have already used their mulligan heading into the track where you're most likely to get caught up in trouble, not of your own doing. Jeff Burton's had a strong first few races and currently holds a pretty sizable advantage given how early it is in the chase. I mentioned very briefly in the Truck Series video that Talladega had just gone through a repave process. And it was time, because after the spring races in 2006, cracks were starting to form in the surface of turns 3 and 4, which obviously isn't ideal, and upset the handling of the cars. Apparently it took 3 tries to repave turns 1 and 2, but the project gets done shortly before the fall events of the track are scheduled to take place. On Friday, the practice speeds were deemed too fast by NASCAR, so they decided to change the size of the restrictor plate in an effort to bring the speeds down just a bit. And NBC's having Dave Burns and Marty Snyder give us the full story. Are we sure this was 14 years ago? I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same.
But the change this weekend made the crew chief's job a little bit harder.
To be quite honest with you, the little bit they changed it, it's really not that big a thing.
But you just said it was going to make their jobs harder. Alright, I take back what I said. Matt Yoakum in an NBC fire suit? I don't know how to feel about that one. Anyway, his first interview of the day is David Gilliland, the pole sitter. Gilliland was a mid-season replacement for Elliott Sadler at Robert Yates Racing, and this is only the 9th race of his Nextel Cup career. He's best known at this point for winning a Busch race in an unsponsored car for Clay Andrews earlier this season, but today, he'll lead the Cup Series field to the green flag at NASCAR's biggest track. Remind me again how this man is not employed by Fox or NBC right now. I forgot Tony Stewart missed the chase in 2006. Reminds me of Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon missing it in 2005. See, this is what happens when you cap the postseason at 10 drivers. Good drivers get left out, and you have to earn it. 16 is far too many. NBC then reports on the story of Mark Martin going to MB2 Motorsports in 2007, just as the Speed Crew did during the truck race the previous day. Mark admits it's hard to walk away from Roush after 19 years, especially since he was reportedly planning on racing full-time for Roush's truck team in 2007. And Jack Roush seems blindsided by the move.
Oh, I had no clue. It was a surprise and a disappointment. As anybody that has been watching what's been going on between us and in our programs for the last couple of years, you know, there's been certainly great anxiety that I've had over the end of Mark's career as it relates to Roush racing, and I believe that would be commensurate with his end of his career with stock car racing.
Jack Roush was stunned when this went down. Martin will share driving duties with Regan Smith next season. He left his options open for 2008. Today he starts 30th, looking for his 3rd Nextel Cup win at Talladega. He won the truck race on Saturday, and Allen is with him.
Before Mark Martin turns his attention to 2007, Billy does have a championship to try and win this year. Mark, have you talked with your Roush Racing teammates that you have to try and win that title with this year about your decision, and what's their reaction been?
Well, these guys, you know, they support me 100%, and you know, we want it worse than ever, and you know, it's 100% from Jack Roush to Pat Tryson and everybody on the team, and you know, we've got a great race team. We've worked together for a long time, and we're on a mission.
Joe Nemechek will be stepping out of the Army car to make room for both Mark and Regan Smith, but he'll stay with MB2 in a brand new 13 car. Dale Jarrett is the defending winner of this race, and after a rough year, he'll be leaving Yates at the end of the season, which is where he spent the majority of his career. And now it's time for the montage of the big wrecks. Man, I don't know about you, but I still say we could do without so much emphasis on the big one. Juan Montoya's here this weekend, and he even participated in the ARCA race on Friday where he finished 3rd. Not bad at all. I don't think I can stress enough how big of a deal this is. It would be like Sebastian Vettel saying to heck with Ferrari in the middle of this past season, and then showing up to run the truck race at Talladega in the fall before going full-time cup racing in 2021. This is a Monaco Grand Prix winner and F1 star coming to the States to run NASCAR. I'd love seeing motorsports crossover like this.
The chase is NASCAR's playoff.
Dang it, Bill. Don't give NASCAR any ideas. You don't play stock car racing, you race. Don't call it the playoffs. Anyway, the question comes up on whether or not non-chasers ought to cut championship contenders a break here and there, over the final 10 races. Personally, I think the idea is laughable. The guys not in the chase have bills to pay and sponsors to please too. Jimmy Johnson's had some mixed results at this place, but he broke through to win the spring race here. Dale Jr.'s won here 5 times, and if you know anything about this race, we'll be talking about these two quite a bit once it's over. Time for the race. And the Yates Fords should be ones to watch as they've locked out the front row, just as the Roush Fords did yesterday in the truck race. Hendrick's cars are fast too, as they're all starting inside the top 10. I like NBC's starting grid graphics here. It's nice to see everyone in the field get a few seconds in the spotlight.
That yellow line you see on the very bottom of the racetrack, we'll be talking about that all day long.
Don't remind me. And the race begins. The Yates cars get a good jump, but it's Jarrett who leads lap 1 as he slots in front of David Gilliland. Jeff Gordon takes the lead on lap 2 as Jarrett gets shuffled back a bit. Jamie McMurray takes the lead on lap 4 as Gilliland drops to the back of the field. Gordon and McMurray will swap the lead back and forth every few laps for 20 laps or so, and on lap 25, Kenny Wallace brings his smoking Furniture Row Chevrolet to pit road.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. says his philosophy on this race today, Bill, was going to be to run hard and run up front. Why? Because if you're in the lead, you're a lot less likely to get taken out by somebody else's mistake.
Ooh, AB, my man. Is that accidental foreshadowing there or what? NBC comes back from a break on lap 31 to cover green flag pit stops. And everything in the first set is relatively clean except for Eric McClure getting boxed in behind Elliott Sadler and Scott Riggs getting penalized for being too fast. Greg Biffle had just taken the lead before pit stops began, and regains it after the pit cycle finishes up. But by the time NBC returns from commercial, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fires up the crowd by taking the lead from Kyle Busch.
Junior's going for the lead off of turn 4.
Wants the lead and the 5 bonus points that come with it.
Listen, can you hear the crowd, folks?
What'd you say?
I can. Good job.
Earnhardt leads at Talladega.
All is right with the world.
Busch takes it back though, coming to start lap 43, as Earnhardt falls back as low as 7th before regaining those spots and returning to the front to fight for the lead. Kenseth will then take the lead with Earnhardt's drafting assistance. Earnhardt retakes control of the lead for himself from Kurt Busch on lap 53, and he'll hold it for 7 laps until Sadler takes it. Clint Bowyer makes an early stop by himself since he didn't get a full tank of fuel on the previous stop, and Sadler gives up the lead to come in a lap later along with Michael Waltrip. Gilliland takes fuel only on his pit stop, and Junior leads a handful of cars down pit road the following lap, and Mike Bliss leaves his pit stall with his fuel tank still attached. The pit cycle continues until lap 72 when the first caution comes out due to a shredded tire from Dave Blaney. Finally, a chance for everyone to catch their breath. Biffle leads the field back to green on lap 76. Despite a strung out restart, the field is back in one large pack by the end of the next lap, as Jeff Gordon retakes the lead. Sadler comes back to the pits a few laps later due to a flat tire. McMurray takes the lead on lap 93 and holds it for nearly 10 whole laps, closely followed by Mike Wallace, who's still fresh off his hard crash in yesterday's truck race. Meanwhile, Earnhardt is struck with misfortune as his left front tire goes flat, and he loses a lap as he's forced to pit. NBC doesn't catch this right away, but when Earnhardt loses the tire, JJ Yaley, Ken Schrader, and Tony Raines all pick up some damage, as they were forced to check up in reaction to Earnhardt. The rest of the field pits shortly thereafter, and it's Brian Vickers who holds the lead after the green flag pit stop cycle. Earnhardt's up at the front of the pack, but he's there in the free pass position, trying to stay there should a caution come out, or even get his lap back the old-fashioned way should he be in front of everyone when that happens. Matt Kenseth and Clint Bowyer each lead a couple laps before the second caution is displayed due to debris. Bowyer leads the field back to green, but this green flag run is going to be much shorter than the first two were.
Mark Martin,
yeah.
and that 6 car.
Oh, here we go. Casey Mears, McMurray, and front of a huge pack.
No, that's Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon is in it. Martin Truex Jr. in the 1. Gordon just got hit again.
Oh, man.
You got real hard, buddy. I didn't see it at all. Yeah.
I guess Junior's back there in the middle of that, too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Denny Hamlin, 11 car.
Yep.
See Clint Boyer, 07, trying to drive away. Well, we keep talking about the big one. This was it.
Looks like there's Boyer. Oh, that started way up high. Who was that way up high?
Is that Carl in 99?
Looks like it.
Carl Edwards gets way out of shape, tagging Casey Mears, and collecting Boyer, Biffle, McMurray, and several others, including Jeff Gordon, who takes his car straight to the garage for repairs. Earnhardt was still far back enough in the pack that he was able to avoid it by almost coming to a complete stop. After the accident, Kenseth leads the field back to green, before 3 of the Hendrick cars line up to get to the front with 42 to go. The caution is forced to come out once again when Reed Sorensen loses an engine. Kyle Busch picks up some damage on pit road after contact with Mike Bliss, and Jeff Gordon returns to the track 14 laps down in an effort to pick up a few more points. Martin Truex Jr. holds the lead on the restart as all 3 DEI cars are now in the top 6. Johnson and Vickers get around Truex, while Paul Menard and Dale Jr. leave Truex hanging. Earnhardt pushes Menard to the lead with 35 to go, before Johnson and Vickers reclaim the lead a lap later. Casey Kane and Tony Stewart swap the lead back and forth, and Gordon is forced back to the garage as he can't meet minimum speed. Kane holds the lead until Kurt Busch takes it briefly with 25 to go. Earnhardt takes the lead back coming to 22 to go, much to the delight of the fans. With 15 to go, J.J. Yaley and David Stremme get together, collecting Menard, Stewart, and Denny Hamlin. Man, not a good moment for Joe Gibbs Racing. The leaders all stay out of the pits, and the race resumes. And aside from points leader Jeff Burton losing a tire, there's really nothing to talk about. Double file restarts weren't a thing yet, there are no lap cars on the inside since there are just 10 laps left, and nobody pulls out. Until the last lap. Look away, Junior Nation.
Vickers wants to go. Eight getting a little wider.
There he goes.
Junior.
Oh, no!
Vickers hits the 48.
Hook the 48 and takes out Earnhardt and Jimmy Johnson.
Caution is out. The leaders had already taken the white flag.
So is it going to be the 25 or the 9?
There are 19 scoring loops around the track. NASCAR will use scoring loops and videotape to determine the race winner. The checkered flag is out, checkers and yellow out at Talladega.
Oh, man, oh, man.
Not going to be a popular win for the 25. It is.
Ray Evernham, owner of the 9 car. And you know, this damage came from hitting the 8 car in the left door on the 48.
Jimmy Johnson.
Okay, the 48 gets a run. He goes to turn out. The 25 goes with him and just hooks the back of Jimmy Johnson's car. Jimmy Johnson, as he's wrecking, gets into the 8 car. 8 car just an innocent bystander on that deal.
Now watch the 48 going to the left door. The left rear tire, actually.
Watch, these guys get a good run. The 48 pulls out, the 25 pulls out behind him, just misjudges just an inch. Just enough to turn the 48 into Dale Jr.'s left rear.
We're still waiting for NASCAR to declare a winner. Vickers thinks it's him.
NASCAR reviews the video and looks at the scoring loops, and Vickers is indeed declared the winner. How about that? The guy wins his first race in his 107th start as he's already on his way out of Hendrick Motorsports. And he does so by taking out 2 championship contenders, his teammate and the leader, who happened to be Dale Earnhardt Jr., NASCAR's most popular driver. Dang, I'm sure this is going to be a popular win. Credit to Earnhardt though, because he's not all that upset.
Brian just, excited there. I hate it for a 48. I hate it for our team. We had a great car and not really that upset. I mean, it's just the way racing goes here, and sometimes you come out on the good end of those deals. I'm really happy Brian got his first win, and for him, Rick Hendrick and everybody, but, just unfortunate we tore our car. My guys really wanted to win today.
This will be a big hit in the championship standings real quick, Junior.
Yeah, ain't much I could have done about it. Believe me, I tried to save it.
His fans, on the other hand.
And we'll hear the reception that Brian will get from his team and from the fans.
Vickers apologizes in his Victory Lane interview and dedicates the victory to the late Ricky Hendrick.
Oh man, that was it's pretty exciting to get our first win with the GMXC Chevy. I said I wanted to get a win for Ricky in this car. I want to dedicate this win to Ricky so bad. Not quite exactly how I planned it. Jimmy had a heck of a run, and I was pushing him. And then when he turned down, I got off of him, and he turned down to pass the 8, and the 8 just kept pushing him down. And when he jerked to avoid the 8, trying to block him, I just got in the back of him. I apologize. That's the last thing I want to do was get into Jimmy and all that take place. But when they chopped him and Jimmy swerved, and I just got him. It's not how I wanted to win it, but it's nice to get a win for this 25 car. It's been a long time.
I was going to say, can you explain the mixed emotions that this must bring for you?
Mixed emotions. You're saying enough. I mean, I'll tell you, there at the last lap, I knew that Jimmy was waiting for the last lap, and I was willing to push him to the front. I didn't expect for us to be able to win. I was looking for us to maybe get a second place, for Jimmy to push Jimmy by the 8, and that'd be it. And but what happened, and it's still nice to get this win. It's not quite how we planned it, but I hate it for Jimmy. I want to apologize to him. Like I said, it just when he swerved to miss the 8, I was there, and it just happened.
You talked about Ricky Hendrick. You are leaving this team in just another 6 races now. Thoughts on finally getting the breakthrough win with the Hendricks?
Yeah, it means all the world. I mean, for like I said, for Jimmy to have to wreck, it's not how I wanted it. But to get this win for Ricky Hendrick and everybody in that plane crash, it just means all the world to me. It was close to me, and I miss him all the world, and we've been wanting to get this win for him for a long, long time. It's good to see the 25 back in victory lane.
Despite the flat tire late in the race, Burton is able to maintain a small points lead. While Earnhardt brushed the incident off as a racing deal, Johnson was a bit more annoyed with his Hendrick teammate.
Got a run on the 8 and got inside of him and just got hit from behind, and it turned me into the 8, and then off we went. So need to see the video. Just can't believe it. I mean, here we go all day long. I had a great chance to make up some points and end up getting crashed by a teammate.
And obviously his exuberance to, as we'll try to pull up some video for you here, get to victory lane. It's very tight out there when you make these fast passes, isn't it?
It is, and when you've got to run that big on someone, you should probably just pull down and pass them instead of trying to bump draft them. I just got turned around, so one of those deals.
Kane and Kurt Busch ended up 2nd and 3rd, and they probably would have finished 1st and 2nd had the yellow come out a few seconds later. Speaking of which, I am kind of surprised NASCAR threw the caution. Earnhardt and Johnson spun well off the track. You'd think the leaders would have been clear to race to the finish.
And these guys probably won't wind up with too bad of a finish, depending on where they threw the yellow and they crossed the loops. Right. They still may be in the top 10 when this is all sorted out.
Except you have to maintain reasonable speed, right? That's why Earnhardt fell all the way back to 23rd, since he just limped across the line with the damaged car. And Jimmy's car was so damaged he didn't even make it back around. Man, how did Jimmy go on to win the title after this? He must have gone on an absolute tear the last... Oh, yeah, of course he did. He's Jimmy Johnson. Well, next up, I was planning to talk about my first Busch race. But I got to thinking about the first time I can remember watching a qualifying session. And there are actually quite a few connections that can be made between this race and Sunday qualifying for the biggest race of all the following year.
Yates has 7 front row starts at Daytona, and David Gilliland goes to the top of the chart by a 1/4 of a second.
Up next, familiar faces on the front row. Let's take a look back at qualifying from 2007 Daytona 500.